Hey y'all, I'm Karyn.
And I'm Mingo.
And this is the Mingo and Karyn Show. And we are excited to be here. We have been married for 27 years. We have,
27 and counting.
I sounded so country, I said 27 years. And we have 4 adult children and a granddaughter. And we started a podcast and decided that we wanted to bring some visual we wanted to show you who we are, instead of just hearing our voices. So we talk about all things life and relationships and just things that we went through within our marriage to try to help you have a better relationship.
And we kind of pull the curtain up. You know, when you're thinking about a stage play and you see the production, we're what's behind the curtain. That's what we wanted to do, because that's what we wish someone would have done for us.
Yes.
But, you know, everybody's not like that. But we are. So that's why we're doing it. So, you know, we learned in relationships, couples can compete.
Ooh.
We're not a competing couple.
At all. But when couples ask us,
they ask us.
When they ask us things about how did we make it, you know, how did we get to 27 years and, you know, how did we successfully raise people who became adults and went to college and got through their life. And I think it came from us really trying to make sure that we work together. And so we are going to tell you things that no one ever told us. And hopefully it can help you in your relationships. And even if it just helps you as an individual, hopefully what we share with you can be of benefit to your life.
Yeah. Because, you know, we just want you to understand that, here it comes. Your companion is not your competition.
Ooh.
And I bet you everybody, I don't compete with her. I don't compete with him. Some people do.
Some people really do.
It can be very small things. You know, even for us, like I said, we don't compete, but we get a lot of people that ask us about, you know, they don't even realize they're asking about competition. And, you know, sometimes a person has to just let that sink in for a minute. Because when you start talking about competing with one another, what is your goal? What is the purpose for competing? Because I thought we were on the same team.
Absolutely. And I'm competitive by nature, right? And so for me, though, I'm really my own greatest competition. I'm not going to compete with Mingo because he's Mingo and I'm Karyn. And so I think sometimes, you know, people can get it kind of mixed up as to, you know, competing with the person that they love or their significant other because there's some kind of benefit to it. There is no benefit to competing with the person that you love. You really should be just trying to stay in your lane and focus. And if anything, instead of competing, maybe what you should be doing is uplifting and encouraging them instead of trying to outdo them.
That deserves a moment of silence right there. Okay. That uplifting and encouraging, that's serious right there, because when you start thinking about if you all were on the same team, you would get to a lot of your goals faster. You would accomplish a lot of the things that make both of you feel good about the relationship. Because when you start talking about competition, you have to prepare for a competition. I'm gonna show her. Oh no, I'm gonna show him. No, you can't. You can't take that angle. And I'm not here to tell you what you can't do. I'm just telling you it doesn't work. There's not a good result of it. I don't know any successful couple that competes with one another.
That lasts.
They're very supportive. Even if they don't agree, and they know what the other person is going to do, may have a bad outcome, they're still a good teammate. It's like, well, I'm going to be here to uplift her. Even though I feel like it might not work, but I ain't going to shoot her down before she even try. Because if it does work, I'm going to be the first person to say you could do it.
You're going to, and instead of competing, maybe start being, you know, making sure that you're, like Mingo was saying, you got to uplift them and you're, telling them what they can do and how they can, you know, that, hey, you got this. It's more about making sure that you're their best advocate and not their competition.
Because if you really, really, really think about it, if both of you all combine your energy for the same goal in the end, versus, okay, you pulling this way, I'm pulling that way, and it's a tug of war. Till one of y'all basically gives up, runs out of power, or just like, I don't want to do this anymore. But think if both of you all were pulling in the same direction, it's an easy win every time.
But because it doesn't benefit you when you're going in opposite directions. It doesn't benefit you when you are trying to say, well, shoot, if Mingo is doing this, then let me just try to see what I can do. Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane and focus on what you have to focus on. Because I promise you, instead of putting 50% into what he's doing and 50% into what I'm doing, if I put 100% into what I'm doing and make sure he's putting 100% into what he's doing, then we will accomplish our goal. And then sometimes when people are competing, it's because of something else that's in them. What are you trying? Why are you trying to just win? winning is not going to always be the thing that is the most important thing in your life. You want to complete something. You want to accomplish something. And if we're doing something at the same time, right?
Yeah.
If I win, then you lose.
Because the competition has to have a winner.
And it has to have a loser.
Yeah.
And so if I love you.
Yeah, love you more.
And when I was younger, if y'all look back at the one we talked about when we used to argue and how we stopped arguing, with me always wanted to get my point across.
Yeah.
And always feeling like I needed to be right about something. It really dawned on me one day, like, oh my gosh, every time I win an argument or think that I've won an argument because I've proven my point and I'm showing him, then he loses. And it's the same way in your relationships when you're talking about competing with that person. My goal is for him to win because I want to win and he should win too. And so when okay, this is going to be corny, but when we win, we have a win-win situation. See?
I get it. I like the win-win.
You like the win-win?
Win-win. But you think about that. I mean, really honing in on that, saying, if I win, she loses. She wins, I lose. I mean, you really got to let that sink in for a minute.
Yeah.
If you are a competitive couple by nature, there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But
Absolutely.
if you're competing against the one you love, who wants that kind of victory?
Yeah.
I don't even want that victory.
Good. Yeah.
That's a useless victory to me. I might as well just forfeit it because it wasn't worth it.
And it's temporary.
Yeah.
That feeling.
It's very temporary, and you're the only person celebrating. Because if I'm over here cheering and you look sad because you lost, I mean, who wants that? I mean, I don't want that.
I don't want it either.
I would hope you wouldn't want it.
I don't want it.
So when you start talking about competing, competitions have a place and a time, and your relationship is not that one. It's not that place. It's not that arena.
Yeah.
Don't do that. I don't know no other way to say it. Don't do it. Just don't do it.
And I think that when you're talking about an arena, I mean, even think about because we watch sports together, right? Well, sports these days, I don't know, whatever. That's another soapbox, child. But I think when you think about an arena, right, and you think about even a football game, which team are you going to be on, right? Because you're preparing to go. You practice all week, and you prepare to be on the team. That's like being a part of one team and then going when you finally get ready to play the game. Going to join the other team.
Yeah, switching uniforms because your team about to lose.
Yeah, and instead of and it doesn't mean that, I mean, you're not gonna win everything that you go into, right? Like we understand that. But we also understand that you gotta decide, are you on team us? Are you on team you?
Or team them.
Oh. Didn't even think about that. Well, I don't want somebody else winning. I want us to win. I want us to thrive together. Yeah. And I think that you have to do that. You come together and you accomplish whatever you're trying to accomplish, whatever goal that you're wanting to accomplish, instead of us trying to, because it's like going in two opposite directions when you're trying to do something that's going to benefit you, but it doesn't, or benefit your own self instead of benefiting us as a whole. And
when you take all of that, the ultimate goal is to be one another's greatest advocate. A support system changes everything.
It does.
I mean, from childhood to adulthood, when you know you have people who support you, who advocate for you, who are there for you when you can't be there for yourself, think about applying that in your relationship. I mean, think about grandmothers. Grandmothers, a lot of times, are great advocates. They don't haven't experienced a lot of things you experienced because it was a different time. But your grandmama gonna tell you, you can do it.
Baby, you can do it.
You can do it. And you know what? You're gonna go out there and believe you can do it.
Yeah, really. And I think that that's what we have to do with one another. Is sometimes all of us have things that we need to work on. All of us have things that we could be better in. But I think that is putting aside our own personal feelings about things, sometimes you just kind of got to step back and say, you know what? Mingo needs me right now. And instead of me kind of being on whatever it is that I'm on, you know, like I said, we don't compete with each other, but understanding that advocacy means that I'm going to fully support him. And if you're busy competing with that other person, how can you fully support them?
Right? You'll miss the moment, because a lot of time when people need support, they don't know how to ask for support. It's us standing back paying attention like, oh, she need me right now. Even if I don't say nothing, just me being in the room might make her feel I can do this because my support system is here now. But if I'm competitive and petty, I'm like, I'm gonna sit in the car till she finished. So I don't know what all you've been through. I don't know if you need me.
Yeah.
And then by the time you get to the car, you don't really want to talk about it because like I really needed you, but I didn't know how to tell you I needed you.
Yeah.
I didn't want to
Wow.
tell you that you should have been there so I wouldn't have to need you. It just really gets in the weeds. But if you go ahead and take that advocacy route, that supportive route, that encouraging route, that route of love, that route of you can do this.
And figuring out what is the foundation of this competition? Why are you competing against me?
Yeah.
What is that? Why are we doing this way instead of making sure that if you're going to accomplish something, that you don't have to try to accomplish it, number one, on your own, that you do have that person that's there to be an advocate for you. And even because if you, the opposite of being somebody's advocate is being somebody's adversary. So you have to decide which route you're going to take. Are you going to be with me? Are you going to be against me? And oftentimes when couples compete, they're really not as productive. Let's say sometimes people can, if couples think, well, it's a healthy competition between us. A healthy competition will be like, okay, Mingo, I bet I can finish something quicker than you or something like that. But if we
Not where you go hard in the paint.
Yeah, not like I'm trying to make it, like I'm dogging you out and trying to make you lose.
Yeah.
Like who does that? Like don't be that way. And so I think you have to decide when you are talking about why you're competing with one another, which category do you fit in? Do you fit in the advocate category, or do you fit in the adversary category?
You made me think about something just then. Think about the competition, right? You said you train. You talked about football. You train. You're on this team, and we're all. I want my team to win.
Yes.
You the black team. I'm the red and blue team.
Okay.
But when you win, would you rather have a victory by yourself? Or would you rather have somebody that'll celebrate it with you? So when you're talking about a relationship, that victory is much well-deserved and it feels better and it sits better when both of you all are celebrating the victory.
Right.
I mean, that's the simplest way to look at it. Because if y'all competing and one of y'all got to lose, only one of y'all going to be happy. And being happy by yourself, in my opinion, is not fun.
Yeah, I mean, when you said the word victory, it just really, I mean, just in the simplest place, I know it seems like, everything out here feels like a challenge these days. Like we get it, right? But no one can beat you being you.
Yeah, they can't.
They can't be you. Listen, you're the most unique and beautiful and wonderful person out here. So why try to compete with somebody else who's beautiful and wonderful and wants to be a part of your life? You can start to shift the way that you feel about what competition looks like.
Man, you know that saying that said no two things in this world are exactly alike. That goes for people, especially people. I bring what I bring to the table. You bring what you bring to the table. And hopefully it makes the table plentiful when we put it together.
And I think that if we step back and we look at each other, maybe you can learn some things I can learn some things from Mingo's competitive nature the same way he can learn some things from me being competitive. As long as we're not trying to harm and hurt one another, step back for a minute and say, you know what? He's really good at doing this, and maybe I need to kind of work on it. So let me go to him and say, hey, Mingo, I see that you know how to do this, and I don't really do that well. Can you offer me some tips? I'll give you an example. When I first started in real estate, Mingo was in sales. And so when I first started in real estate, I know how to build rapport pretty good with people. I can get people to talk to me and all those kind of things. What I didn't know how to do as well is how to be a salesperson, naturally a salesperson. Like, because to me, in my mind, I was like, well, I'm building a rapport, but I didn't know how to ask for the sale. I didn't know how to come in and say, hey, can I be your agent so you can, I can help you find a home to purchase? Or can I be your listing agent so that I can list your house on the market to be sold? And so as good as he was in sales, I had to go to him and go, hey, can you give me some tips on how to be better at being a salesperson? And so he would do role play with me. He would make it challenging for me so that I could learn how to overcome objections and all kinds of things. So instead of me looking at him like, oh my God, he's so great at sales, how can I be as good as him? Instead of me trying to figure it out, because I knew he had the skill set, I just simply went and asked.
But that's because we were on the same team.
True.
When you're on the same team, you don't mind sharing information.
That's true.
You don't come out there and give your playbook to the other team.
That's very true.
So if we're on the same team, and I was honored that she asked me that. There's plenty of times I've had to go to Karyn for all kind of things. She has a very gentle way of finding out what she needs to find out without turning people off.
Oh, thank you, baby.
And when you have that skill set, so if you take my skill set and you take your skill set, you got a good salesperson.
Yep. and we're able to utilize what the other person said in order to make it whole and good for both of us. And so guess what? There are no losers there. It's a win-win situation because he won and I won, but we did it based on how we listened to one another, how we advocated for one another, how we supported one another. So we're not trying to fight against each other. Even when we would do role playing and Mingo would make it really, really challenging for me. In the beginning, I kind of was like, okay, I don't think I can overcome this objection. Yeah. I don't think I can. And he was like, yes, you can.
You can always overcome an objection because you know what you can say?
I don't know.
Always. Yep. I don't know. So that works in the relationship too.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
If you don't know how to do something, like Karyn said, she didn't know how to ask for the sale. Where I naturally knew how to ask for the sale because ultimately I know you want what I have.
And what was crazy is I would be thinking, well, I don't want them to think I'm selling them something. And Mingo's like, you are. I'm selling something.
They came here to buy what I have. I just got to convince them to buy it from me.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Absolutely.
That's it. So in the relationship, you shouldn't, well, I ain't gonna say you shouldn't, because you could be a new relationship. And you all don't start the foundation of your relationship competing with one another. Y'all should be working together, supporting one another. Yes. When y'all wake up in the morning and go y'all separate direction, well, we work together, so we go the same direction. But if you go separate direction, say something supportive. Say, hey, I hope you have an amazing day, and I hope you have no things that bother you, and I just know that whatever day you want for yourself, you're going to absolutely have it. You're going to be the good energy that comes in the room. Yes. You're not going to be where the room get quiet because you get there. Because if that happens, then you might be the problem.
And you know what? And sometimes people compete because of insecurities.
Oh, yeah, that's true, too. That's true. That's really true.
Really think about that. People compete because of their own insecurities, their own feeling of inadequacies within themselves. Like, that they're not capable of doing it. So they're trying to compete to prove a point. I don't have anything to prove if I'm just me. Yeah. If I'm my greatest competition, then that means that I get better and better. I get higher and higher. And that at the end is going to benefit me in a great way. And so I think that figuring out your own foundation, digging deep within you and saying, you know what? I'm this way because I'm not so sure of, my ability to be able to do something, say, for example, that Mingo is doing. Well, the first thing is my name is not Mingo. And so that may not be in my skill set to do what you're doing. So why am I competing with something that I'm not equipped to compete in?
And if you're competing, it's hard to compete and learn at the same time. That's why you have practice.
What?
Practice is the place where you get it right. You know what I'm saying? You get it right in practice. So when it comes time for the competition, you will hopefully be victorious.
Wow.
You will hopefully be celebrating this victory. But I want to celebrate the victory with you, not against you.
Absolutely. You know and then I think when you talk about games and stuff, making sure that you're playing your position.
Yeah, absolutely.
If somebody's a quarterback on the team, he's not going to have the same practice that a wide receiver has. He shouldn't be throwing
and trying to catch the ball.
Right, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And so I think understanding your role, also being able to identify your insecurities and not mistaking them for, whether you are capable or not. Because I think that has nothing, insecurities can eat us up, right? And it can make us do things which competing with your significant others is one of the things that it can bring up. But you have to be focused on what it is that you're doing for yourself and understand that your companion really is not your not your competition, and that your focus should be on you maybe being your own greatest competition in a good way, like taking it and saying, you know what, Karyn, let me take this to the next level this time. Let me not stay here, because if I have a goal to accomplish and I don't meet my goal, then I got to go back and reassess, why didn't I meet it? And then I have to go back and think, okay, let me look at what I did the last time and see why I didn't get to my goal, and then regroup, come back together and try again.
And then you have to check yourself. I mean, when I say check yourself, I mean, go look in the mirror.
Yeah.
And if you are a competitive person, anybody who's done anything in life who likes to be successful, I would feel they might have a certain competitive nature.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So if you feel that thing rising up in you, that is the perfect time to go look in the mirror and say, why? Why am I competing with my partner? Why am I competing with my spouse? Why am I competing with my coworker? Why am I competing with my sibling? You have to address that.
Yeah.
Because if they're competitive, then their thing is go flare. They don't have to go look in the mirror. You should be concerned with you. Well, concerned with why are you doing that? Because if I just come through and win all the time, then it's going to be like, then the other person don't want to participate anymore. Because it's like, well, it's all about you. So now it's turned into a selfish thing and a lonely thing. And
because then that person is in a perpetual cycle of losing because you're so focused on always winning.
You're so focused on winning. And so in the relationship, all we're saying is that's not the place for that. Competing where somebody has to lose. Now, if y'all want to compete on the same team, by all means, have a run at the world.
Absolutely.
But when you're talking about the person you truly care about, you truly love, don't compete with them in a way where they have to feel inadequate.
And I think even with that, and not competing with the person that you love, focus on, I don't want to necessarily say it's like cheerleading, because I mean, but give them encouragement. Be an advocate and say, you know what, Mingo, you got this. Yeah. You know, sometimes when you're doing things in life, it can get a little scary. And that person may not need you to compete with them in this moment. They might need your attaboy. Yep, you might need
that pat on the back.
I might need that pat on the back.
Pick you up off the ground and dust you off. So you got it.
you got this. And so I think instead of focusing on winning, focusing on competing, focusing on not or being there only for yourself is to the detriment of the relationship, because you're trying to do something that there's always going to be somebody that loses. So I think it's important that you think about what it is that you want to accomplish. Yeah. You focus on what it is that you want to accomplish, but you also are right there with your partner, making sure that they accomplish their same goals. That if they come to you and they tell you they need your help for something, or if you feel like you have a skill set that they can benefit from, then you go to them and say, hey, you know what, I noticed you may need to do this. Like when Mingo would have me overcoming objections, and he would say, Karyn, you can really think about this. I need you to think for a second. And he was not going to necessarily spoon feed me, because he needed for me to use my own critical thinking based on the skills that he offered me in order for me to overcome. So I think it's important that you just think about what it is that you want to do. Understand that your spouse is there for you and that they're not your competition. Stop competing with them. Become the better version of your own self. If you're going to do anything, when you're thinking about even what you want to do next, if you don't get something right and you're competing with yourself, there's a benefit in the end, because you keep going to higher heights. Just know that you got each other. Yep. And that be your own greatest advocate in this situation. Stop competing. And we wish you nothing but happy relationship building.
Happy relationship building.